ready to start painting. I've got some nice paints here, and I'm going to start with this number 1 Rosemary Evergreen Long Flat. I like the longs because it's got a lot of space in between the tip and the ferrule, which makes it pretty nice and easy to use, and where I'm not going to ruin the brush too quickly. So I'm going to start with some darks here first, because I'm going to just use some of this dark to really kind of bring out the trees first. And I'll bounce around between these trees, and then I'm going to move into the snow here. But I just kind of want to pull out those trees and just show them just a little bit better than where they are right now. And you can pick up some colors where you need them. So I'm just grabbing a little bit of the ultramarine blue and just kind of toning that down a little bit, because I see some blue in some areas that I really need to darken up, and maybe grab a little bit of black. You know, it's kind of intuitive, and just kind of bring in what you see and where your eye goes, because if your eye goes there and you don't want it to go there, that means you need to kind of modify a little something. So I'm working on modifying a little bit of something right now. Creating some dark spaces in that bottom right side, adding in some tree branches, creating a little bit more visual interest, so that where dark is, my eye's not going to go there as quickly as it will the light. So I really want to make sure those darks are nice and dark, because I want the story to be in the light. I'm just using the corners of this flat brush. And one of the directions my mind is kind of going is, you know, I want some lights. I want to go ahead and show some of the lights. So I just went dark, now I want some light. So I'm grabbing some of this cadmium yellow medium and some titanium white, and I'm just going to bounce my brush. Just going to bounce it onto my panel here, creating those nice bright leaves that are just shining and sparkling in the sun. Kind of making some tentative little strokes here in my mind. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go, and I did grab a bigger brush here, and I'm just going to bounce the brush. I am way back on the edge of this brush so that I can just lightly touch it. I don't want a heavy hand here. Just using the corner of the brush. Tone this down just a little bit, grabbing some of my neutral gray so it's not quite so bright, because some of the spaces are not going to be as bright. They're not going to grab all the sun like that. Kind of roll my brush around just a little bit. What that does is it allows for different marks to be made, and so those leaves will look like they're different leaves instead of just a haphazard, you know, placement of the brush. And where I introduce one color, I'm going to introduce it in other areas of the painting. So I'm kind of going back over what I did in the last couple weeks on the previous side, and just kind of bouncing my brush to create new color and fresh color on that side. It's so easy to get stuck into one color, but I'm going to introduce some of this cobalt teal into the yellow just a tiny bit, and then grab a little bit of purple. So I'm bouncing in between the three colors that I've made here, the yellow, the turquoise, and the purple. So I can really start turning the form of the leaves and how the light is hitting the snow in these trees. So I do spend quite a bit of time in these trees, actually, and kind of bouncing in between the light, medium, and dark colors. And I'm going to speed this up just so you can see the completion of the leaves in the tree process without getting bored to tears and watch me creating all these leaves. Okay, so I'm about to show you something that it's kind of a cheat and a trick here. So what I'm doing is I'm taking some paper towel and I'm just kind of dabbing over some of the paint that was a little bit too thick or stood out a little bit too much. And I'm just going to dab, dab, dab. And what this does is it creates more leaves with less paint, and that causes it to dry. It also softens some areas up, and it's a quick way to kind of build up your leaves without having to, touch the painting 30,000 times. And the important part is, like, when you do use your tissue, just kind of keep rotating it. Make sure you keep your hands kind of clean, but you're rotating it so it'll dab and place new paint where you want it, or it'll pick up no paint where you don't want it. Okay, so the leaves I'm getting pretty happy with. I can really start to see the structure of everything. So I'm going to go back in and refine and define and add more of trees. So here we go. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit too, so you can kind of see the overall development. You've done this before in the previous week, and now we're just doing it in the right side of the painting. Okay, so here we go with the really kind of vibrant, bright area of the tree over on the right side. So I'm going to make a mixture. I'm adding a little bit of alizarin crimson, cadmium orange, medium, and I'm going to start creating those tree branches that really capture that light and almost look like they're on fire. And this is a little bit of a process. It's going to take a minute, but I'm going to build this out and really ensure the tree catches the light. Using some more cadmium orange and some cadmium yellow medium just to really make it vibrant and stand out right there. Now, one of the things I'm noticing that I don't like, and I'm going to fix, is this tree branch right here. It's like a V. It's like, I don't like that. So I'm going to fix that. Before I get to that, I'm going to really add in the darks, because where there's light and that vibrant on the opposite side of that, like it's a three-dimensional object, it is going to be very dark. So, but I'm going to go ahead and fix this V right here. And what I'm doing is I'm taking some of the Gamsol, and I'm getting a really clean brush, and because I waited for this to dry from the previous week, I can just simply erase by using some of my Gamsol. Look at that. Now I've got like a phantom branch there, and we're gonna resolve this. Yeah, I've already liked that a little bit better. Okay, that's better. Just kind of thinking through where I want the branches to go, what feels right. Let's get a little more fire into that tree. Maybe some other little areas, because where I've got some fire over here, I think I need to bring some over into the left side too. Just a few little touches. Yeah, now I've got my branches in there, I'm going to go back and I'm just going to start bouncing in some more tree leaves. It's just using the same colors that we've used before. We'll just continue to add complexity. Okay, now my trees are pretty well built out, but I need that sparkle. I gotta have that sparkle. So I'm gonna go and get some of that cadmium yellow medium and some titanium white, and I'm gonna bounce into the areas that are just so vibrant, so shining through, and I'm gonna add that nice thick paint just around there, and I'm going to soften some of the edges that are in that tree because the light is enveloping the tree, and it's just really, really just shining around that tree. Notice how I'm just going right over the tree, and it's bringing that light. Now I'm going to go from inside the tree and start moving out, moving that light out. Slightly bouncing my brush. If it picks up any of the other color, I'm going to go ahead and wipe that off and grab some more of the paint and go back in there and start bouncing in the light. So I want to kind of smooth this down just a little bit. I'm grabbing this broken brush. So this is a brush that's ruined, and because the paint kind of got down on the ferrule, so it splays a little bit. But it is a perfect brush for gently blending the edges. So I can get some kind of nice little smooth edges there. And where I need to, I'm going to wipe off my brush really, really well and do it again. I'm kind of blending, softening the edges because I really want that light to envelop and lose the edges of that tree. And I think it needs a little bit more sparkle, a little bit more fire to it. So I'm going to grab some of my orange here and just really kind of lay in some of the fire that's coming into that tree. Soften the edges again just a little bit. Let's make sure we've got some nice darks in there, because to really make that come alive with the light, we need to contrast that with the dark. So I took a little bit of a break and I'm coming back to, there's something that's really just kind of bugging me about this tree right here, and it just had a bump out. So I'm going to fix that bump out, and then I'm going to go ahead and just refine and define some more tree branches, and just put some little finishing touches on the trees and before I move into the foreground. Okay, so I am going to speed up this a little bit just because I'm refining the trees, adding in lots of tree branches, but I want you to see the overall movements and what I'm doing. Now, the speed and kind of real life and how long I spent on some of these branches and defining the tree limbs, it probably took me at least about 15-20 minutes. So it's not, down to the 1 minute. So I do want you to take your time with this, kind of feel the painting and what you see is building with the trees, because it doesn't have to be just like the reference image, but it needs to have a flow to it that brings your eye back into the scene, maybe back in towards that middle area where you want to bring the light. Okay, so what I'm saying there, take your time, relax, enjoy this. Okay, now that I'm pretty satisfied with the background, I'm going to start moving into the foreground and really kind of working on the bridges, bringing them forward and accentuating the highlights. So I'm going to use a lot of the paint colors that I've already created just to, add in those highlights. So think about where the light is coming from and bouncing onto the railings. I'm pretty satisfied with the dark and the structure that's going on with the slats of the railings themselves, so I'm not going to mess with those. I want the accents to be on the snow. So just remembering cool versus warm, and pick your colors according to cool versus warm. One of the things I really want to call out here is how the light is hitting the snowbank that's up against the part of the bridge here. So I'm using some of my cobalt teal, and notice how I'm not covering all of the previous color. So by doing that, it's shifting it from that light, medium, dark. That's what we have to continuously think about, that is that light, medium, dark. And right now we are really, really focused on that light and building up the sparkle. So just grab some of the lightest blues and bring that in there, and where you need, add a little bit more white, and just kind of think about constantly, where is the light? And you'll often find that it's going to be right next to that really, really, really dark. So that's a great place to play it. And I think that's the key word here, is play. Just look at where the light is going to play, where it's going to dance. So I'm really enjoying this cobalt teal. So I'm going to create a cool cobalt teal color that I could use on the right side of this bridge so that I can really kind of just play with that color, create a different color variants of the cool cobalt teal. So I grabbed some of the cobalt teal and ultramarine blue and just a touch of that purple, just to kind of bring in some of the purple. And I'm going to create some of the shadow areas, just some more shadow areas on that right side to just kind of balance out and bring in some of that teal that I've used in previous parts of the painting. Okay, I'm going to speed up some of this process of building in the snow, but just so you know, this did take me quite some time, but you're going to see the overall process in about a minute or less. So just kind of hang in there and watch, because I am just grabbing all the colors that I've been using. I'm not creating any new colors just yet. Just playing those blues and purples. Okay, now I'm really ready to start moving into the bridge, and this next part is probably my favorite part of the whole painting. So I grabbed a little bit of the titanium white and some of the cadmium orange medium and cadmium yellow, and I'm creating that sunshine reflection on that melted snow. Just kind of zigzagging it in. I'm being kind of careful not to touch it up against the purples because I don't want to really dilute this sunshine. This is pure light that I want to see on the left side. And a little bit of the fire. A little too much fire. Let me tone that down just a little bit. I'm going to grab some of my neutral gray, tone down my cadmium yellow and cadmium orange just a touch. A little bit of my neutral gray. There we go. That's better. Okay. That looks a little bit more natural than the fire that I had created before. Bring some of that color down in here. Again, where you introduce one color, introduce it several places in the painting to create that harmony. Alright, I'm going to start working on those planks of the bridge. So I'm grabbing a little bit of the cobalt teal, my neutral gray, and I'm just going to add in some planks here. And the way that I imagine this is happening is the sky is reflecting into the planks themselves. So this is like a bluish gray color that I'm adding on here. And I'm just doing a little bit of a zigzag stroke as though I'm moving with the planks. And my planks really aren't defined yet, but I'm getting there, I promise. All right, so here we go. I'm going to grab some of my warm dark here, and I'm going to start defining a little bit about those planks. Okay, I gotta steady my hand just a little bit because I want to make sure that my planks are kind of level. So I'm gonna steady my hand using my ruler. I've actually got my hand laid up against my ruler so I can create these quick little stroke movements of the planks. I'm not so worried about it as I'm absolutely perfect, but I am worried about making sure that they make sense. So the further they go into the distance, the more closer together you're gonna be able to see the slats. But as I come closer to me, they're gonna be further and further apart. It's all that perspective, and we need to make sure that we keep that perspective in mind. So I'm kind of alternating also between the light and dark browns that I created that I used in my trees. Just kind of remembering where's the sun coming from, where's my light coming from. It's coming from, you know, if I'm avoiding the dark, it's in the shadow, I want to pick the dark one, you know, that sort of thing. So that's what I'm doing. Just gently placing in the indications of the plank edges. Okay, so now that we've got those plank edges, we know where the darks are on those planks. Now we need to go in and add some lights. So I'm going to grab a little bit lighter of this cobalt teal color, the one that comes in the light, and I'm going to bring in where the light is shining on those planks. Feel a little bit of a neutral gray in there, just to so it's not overpowering. It's starting to look like a bunch of wet planks on the bridge. That's what I'm going for. Okay, I'm going to speed this up just a little bit on the video. Here's what I'm doing is I am alternating between lights and darks just to kind of build up the sparkle that's starting to go on this bridge. You know, I wanted to make sure that it looks wet. So I'm adding some more lights where I think the lights are going to be. And then I'm going to be adding some more darks just to really accentuate the darks. And it's just going to make these planks come alive. All right, so we're getting to my favorite part, and this is not intuitive at all. So what I'm doing is I'm taking some Naphthol red. It's this gorgeous, warm, like fiery red that I can't make with my normal palette. So I'm gonna put a little bit of this to the side, and a little goes a long way with what we're about to do. And I mean, I'm gonna use probably a quarter of what I just laid out. But I'm gonna create a gorgeous, gorgeous pink. Now, this doesn't make any sense, I know, but I've got a lot of purples on here and blues, and by creating this pink, it's really just going to make that vibrant color pop out against all those blues and all of those purples. So I'm making a very, very, very light pink color. And with this color, I'm going to also be using my medium, the solvent-free gel. So I can create this nice, thick paint, and it's really just going to cause everything to sparkle. So just kind of give you an idea of how white this pink is. So it's very, very, very just minimal amount of pink in there, but it's going to make a huge difference in your painting. All right, so when we use this paint, this is going to be like the final stages here. So I'm going to be using some of my solvent-free gel to kind of create that texture, and we're going to effectively scumble on the paint. So what do I mean by scumble? So scumbling is basically laying your palette knife or your brush up against the panel, and I've got it pretty well loaded so that I could just like let the paint happen where it touches. And this is kind of a hard thing to think about, like letting the paint happen where it touches. So see that just minimal little touch there, and it just created a little sparkle. Now, my personal preference is not with a palette knife. So I have a little bit of a control issue, so I'm gonna probably switch to a brush here in a second. But the palette knife, it's fun to play with and a way to just kind of give up control and let the paint happen. And you can see that it was just a little bit of a pink color, and it just really made a significant difference. And I'm taking my dry brush here just so I can soften some of those edges just a touch, because I don't want hard edges everywhere. So Now I'm actually going to play with this brush. What I'm digging about this brush, it's the same brush that I was using to blend the tree, if you remember, but now I'm going to be using this broken brush, this one that's, been ruined, and create just broken fragments of snow. And it's creating this sparkle. Without, using a perfect brush, you're going to get like a straight line, or you're going to be using an edge. There's really kind of no idea, no uniformity in how it's going to approach. But I just got it loaded just on the tip there, so it can just pull right onto the panel and just gently scumbling it on and creating that sparkle. Oh, I love this sparkle. It's making me so happy right now. Okay, I am going to speed up just a little bit the sparkle application, because I want you to see it in fast motion and see the drastic just improvement, just these little bitty, just, secret of adding the opposite or a color that's not in there to the white, and watch these leaves and the painting just come to life. Okay, now I want some sparkle, some more sparkle and glisten in the snow that's on the bridge, and just kind of reflect that sunlight, like how you see it on a sunny day, and how it just looks like it's showing all the colors of the sun that's sparkling in the snow. So I'm going to recreate that here. So the first color mix that I'm trying is actually the cadmium orange medium and titanium white. And what I don't like about it is it just looks so muted. And so I'm going to try something. I'm going to take some of my naphthol red, which is that fiery red, just a little tiny bit, and I'm going to grab some of my cadmium yellow medium. And the color that this creates is just absolutely gorgeous. It's a very, very vibrant orange. So this is why I find it so valuable to know how your colors mix. And this is a color that I use quite a bit when I'm wanting to create my own orange. The naphthol red and cadmium yellow medium, it just creates this fiery orange that doesn't seem to get diluted with titanium white. So just look at this color. This is going to just add so much sparkle to our kind of muted orange that's already on there. Taking my broken brush, the one that, I think I probably would have thrown away, but I have a really hard time throwing away brushes. So this one has proven to be a workhorse for the unpredictable brush strokes. And that's what I want here, is an unpredictable brush stroke. So one of the things, I'm really kind of making sure that this brush stays fairly dry. So I'm just tapping on some color and making sure that it's dry, where I'm not dipping it in Gamsol at all. Like, I even really scrubbed off this brush to make sure it's pretty dry. And then when I dip it into my paint there, I'm going to tap it onto my panel just a couple times, just to make sure that I don't have a ton of paint on this just yet, because I just getting those subtle sparkles and really kind of paying attention to almost the very tips of this brush. And occasionally I just kind of drag it out, creating those nice diffused light. It's just nice and subtle. Okay, I'm gonna just speed this up just a little bit, because all I'm doing is just adding in those sparkles, the highlights, and just really making this painting come to life. And it's so much more fun to watch it in fast motion than it is to watch it each individual stroke, I think. But just kind of give you a little bit of an idea of how long this took me. Just adding these little sparkles and everything, I probably spent a good 20-30 minutes on this, just kind of taking my time, evaluating where I wanted the sparkle to go, imagining the sunlight reflecting off the snow, and just, walking into the painting, walking into the magical wonderland of winter.